You're listening to Small Business Talk with Jerry. Sit in on great conversations with entrepreneurs who risk everything chasing the American dream.
Hey everybody, here we are with Small Business Talk with Jerry. I'm Jerry. We're going to introduce John Radel today with J-Rock's Auto Glass. Jordan's sitting in today. He's my co-host. He's going to help us out with Maxwell Anderson Allstate. And he's also a co-founder of Small Business Referral Group. We have changed up the Small Business Talk with Jerry to be incorporated as part of Small Business Referral Group here in Rochester, soon expanding to hopefully a city near you. But John, a milestone. We were just talking about this. The first business podcast for Small Business Talk with Jerry under SBR Group.
Yes, very proud.
Awesome. Welcome, Jordan. You too.
Thank you, and awesome to have you here. I'm excited for this.
So we're in my mom's basement. But John, how long have you been doing auto glass?
I have been in the industry for 25 years already.
But you're only 37. How did that work?
Yeah, close. It's actually, I have been in I'm just going to be 45, so more than half my life I've been doing it. I accidentally fell into it.
Are you good at it yet?
I would say yes, I can hold my own.
Yes.
He knows a thing or two about a thing or two.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, John has done, I tease him, but I've known John for a long time, and he's done a lot of work for me over the years on vehicles, classic cars to... I seem to break glass on everything. I don't know if I've had one you haven't done, except the one I'm driving right now.
The one you have now.
Yep. But once I get a few years on them, I always break something. And I've never had a bad experience, John. I mean, honestly, you guys, all of your staff has been awesome throughout the years.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to have the people with me, people I've known for a long time and have very good experience as well. From the person in the office to all the techs that we have.
Chamber's one of my favorite people.
Yes.
I mean, she is so awesome. And even a past employee is one of my co-founders with SBR Group, Craig. Now, there's a lot of times past employees don't have a lot good to say or vice versa. And, I mean, Craig does nothing but brag you up. He talks so well about you. So, I mean, that says a lot. Even though he's not with you anymore, he speaks so highly of you. So,
yeah. I would say Craig and he's one of those that I've known for a long time in Rochester here. Worked with him when I was with another company and got to have him for 3 years, and he really, really helped grow the business. And yeah, he was just a pleasure to work with, and we still continue to be friends.
Right. I mean, that says a lot, because a lot of times, when that separation comes on the professional side, the personal side follows for a lot of folks. And so I commend you on being able to keep that together. That says a lot about you and your business.
Yeah, it does. I mean, these people that I work with, I want them to feel super comfortable and like they're part of a team. So when it is time for them to move on, whether it's a better opportunity for them, I'm like, go for it.
Right.
If it is, let's do it. Thank you for the time that you were here with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
that's how it was with Craig.
Yeah, and it shows. Like I said, he says nothing but good things. So now, Jordan, you deal with glass companies.
Absolutely.
With Maxwell Anderson.
Yep.
So now, have you guys worked together at all?
We have not, but I think it's going to be the beginning of a great relationship in that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to backtrack quite a bit before we go too much forward. But there's been kind of a shakeup locally.
Yes.
That's going to put you two together.
Absolutely.
By the looks of things.
Yeah.
Locally, yes. So there is actually, Jordan, you go ahead.
Well, I just know that from the insurance side, with the glass industry, each company kind of has their own portal that we submit claims through, and specifically with glass. And typically it all runs through one major company in the United States that seems to be kind of the head of everything, or where everyone buys their glass from, or whatever. And you have local companies that install, that do the kind of the customer service part of it, and that's where we are able to make those relationships. And I don't know, that's kind of what my side of my perspective. And there's been companies that have been in the industry in the local area, but then it seems like been a little bit of shakeup where one company's out and another one's kind of
yeah. And I guess the shakeup that has happened is the giant company, corporate company of Safelite, bought one of the last like bigger companies, Midwestern companies. They had definitely a number of stores in town and throughout Minnesota. It was City Auto Glass. So for me, it's one less competitor.
Well, me personally, before I knew you, I've been breaking glass since I was a teenager. So it didn't just start when I met you.
We love clients like you. We love it. Absolutely.
Well, I'm your guy. But, I mean, and here, not to trash talk, but this podcast is small business talk.
Yes.
We appreciate small business. Not that we can't appreciate big business, but sometimes big business gets too big.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, when I'm a client to you, but I'm a number to them, well,
the customer service drops off.
Absolutely.
100%. In my experience, when the bigger you get, you're going to miss a lot of the fine details, which go a whole lot with customers and clients.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And that's where I want to work with you. I want to work with where I'm a client, where I'm a human being. When you become a number, it's like these big companies, that's where you're at.
It is, and they can't really do it other way. That was one thing about City, is that they were a little bit larger of a company, but they still had that local customer service to them, so they knew the areas that you're going to. Safe Light, for instance, everything goes out of Columbus, Ohio, and they schedule you not knowing where any of these places are or how long the techs are going to be there, So, like I said, they had great local service as well, and now I think I'm up one notch.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you can step right in. I mean,
I have a question about that. Why does there seem to be like a Costco style like place where you buy all your glass from? Because I feel like, it feels like all the windshields are going through one spot. Or do you buy them from different separate places?
Separate places.
Okay.
So, unless a person wants an original one from like a factory, it all has to get taken care of through insurance, stuff like that. We can order it right from a dealer, but for the most part, almost every piece of glass you can get an aftermarket piece, but it's not how some people think of aftermarket. It's just as good a glass.
Okay.
They all have to meet certain standards to be in the United States. So there are places around the world that don't meet those standards, and we can't get some of those pieces of glass in here. But as far as us getting the glass, we have 3 separate vendors up in the city, and each up in the Twin Cities, and each one of those vendors have 2 warehouses up there. So each night we get the option of 6 warehouses coming down to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the 3 main brands are Pilkington, PGW, and then Migrant. They make glass. They have their own brands of glass. There's certain glass that we've used over time that we don't use anymore, so we just, they're a lot about quality, and that's pretty much where everybody gets their glasses, from those 3 places.
That could have been a misconception that I've heard in the industry then, that all glass is going through one place and everyone's buying from the same place. The windshield.
Not at all.
Okay, well that is a misconception I've heard in the industry.
Well, you did my Stingray a few years ago, and 52-year-old car. And it took a few days to get, but it wasn't like it took you 6 months to find it and get it. I mean, you had it pretty quick. I mean, it was only 2-3 days. I mean, it wasn't very long.
That is. We're talking 80,000 square foot warehouses from top to bottom, just up with glass. And that's just here. We get it from probably 7 different other places that we can order it in from, different distribution places and things like that. We can usually get it within a week from those distribution places as well. So what we usually find it's maybe like an old Stingray, but actually that's kind of a common window. Just think of more like of a back glass for it or something like that, or something very, very brand new. We had issues with Subaru came out with new windows where they have 3 cameras on there now.
Oh, okay.
And
so you're talking glass and technology.
And technology,
because they have to be calibrated and everything now, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes. So my understanding is that 2024, every vehicle going forward has to have a forward-facing camera to get a 5-star crash rating.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
every vehicle 2024 going forward must have a calibration. All manufacturers require a calibration because you kind of look at look at it like this: is that's a camera on there. You're taking that camera off and you're putting it back on. How do you know exactly that that thing's in the right spot? Did that machine put that bracket on an eighth of an inch wrong, a 16th of an inch?
Sure.
16th of an inch at 100 feet could
Right.
maybe miss that kid on a bike that was
Yeah.
3 feet out of it just because it's a 16th of an inch. So
Right.
So is that more training that all your techs have to do, and stuff that you have to do to learn all that?
yes, there's a company that's by far the leader in calibration. It's ADAS, Advanced Driver Assist System. So basically features that are in your vehicle looking out for you, looking around you, and they're going to help you stop and warn you about all the stuff around you. So we got this, it's Autel.
You bought a calibration system
Yes.
a while back. You were
Yep.
one of the pioneers, really, weren't you, in the area?
Yes, I was the first one in Rochester to have a calibration system. 8 years ago, I started another company called ClearSight Calibrations, and that's all it does is the calibrating, not only for J-Rocks, but for other body shops and dealerships that, like if you get in a front-end collision, every vehicle has that forward collision alert or that adaptive cruise control. It always has to be recalibrated to make sure that it's in the right spot,
Sure. But and to get away from auto glass for a second and on the business side of things, I mean that is brilliant because you start a second company that will survive because your first company is its biggest customer, but not its only customer.
Correct.
And you get to branch that out while it supports J-Rocks.
Yeah. And the thing about that is that I originally started it as to support J-Rocks and other glass companies, but I mean, this technology has been out since 2007 for the windshields, and that was about the first one. All this other stuff has come out now, and that's in the last couple of years we've invested in the best machine out there that, I mean, you really plug your scan tool in it that connects right up into the computer and you do everything. It tells you the heights and everything.
That's crazy. But that's from I had a similar situation with my gun shop, and I was outsourcing all the shirts. I mean, we even had talked about this.
Yep.
And then I nobody would do it right, and so I thought, right, here's an opportunity. And so I didn't really want to start Design HQ as a separate business initially. I just wanted the apparel with my custom logos and things. And then I realized why things didn't get done right, because it's difficult. There's a lot of moving parts. And I was making the same mistakes that I was whining about before. But once you work through that, all of a sudden it's like, now I've got all my friends are like, well, who does your shirts? Well, we do them ourselves. Well, can you do some for me? Well, then that spawned into we need a name, we need a website, we need, and now what was built to support one business, that business is now supporting it as its biggest customer. But now when you look, Black Diamond Armory is just it's a minute fraction of what Design HQ does in a month, but same kind of thing.
And realistically, it could very well be the same with the calibration system.
Yeah,
I mean,
I see that.
Just you think of a car that gets in an accident that has surround view monitoring, blind spot monitoring, forward collision, those all work together. So if one of them is off, you have to recalibrate every single one of those things. So talking about insurance going up, the price of doing a windshield, I mean, you can add between $300 and $700 just for the calibration nowadays. So
Which is more than the windshield you put in some cases.
not anymore, man.
Not anymore?
I tell you what.
No?
Old Mopar,
See, that's a question I have. What have you seen with the inflation and the economy in the last 3 years with the price of, labor for one, and then also, the product?
labor, That is a whole nother subject.
Absolutely.
Because from insurance company, on an average, what an auto glass person will make on an hourly rate is probably like $35 to $40 an hour. Jerry?
No.
Yes.
Really?
And we go by NAG's hours, and they give us the pricing that we have to agree to. Otherwise, they'll say, well, basically, you got to fight it.
Right.
You know, you can fight it. There's a lot of people out there that fight it at the end of the year. They just take insurance companies to court and make them pay it. But it's not easy, and it's not right.
That's a lot of effort.
And it's not right.
Jordan's right there.
No, I'm so interested in all this because I don't see any of this. So
Yeah.
I submit it online. It goes to whoever we're submitting it to. They take care of the customer. They call me. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the recommendation. Gets done, and we move on. And I don't even know any of that part of the claim side, obviously, because I'm in the sales part. So.
And see, I didn't even think of that piece of it. What I was going to ask earlier, I was going to joke a bit and go, "Don't tell Jordan," but I want to.
Oh, I'm just a sponge, just absorbing all of it, and I just take it in, and well, yeah.
So, I mean, like for instance, when you did my Stingray, you said it, or say you put one in my Power Wagon, for instance. And is there, like you mentioned these 3 brands that make glass? Is there ever a time when the insurance company says, "Well, the original equipment glass is $500. We can get this one for $250. Put that one in." Is that a thing where I'd get an inferior product because not because of you, but because my insurance company told you what to put in?
No.
That's not a thing.
No, that's not a thing. They don't bark about what goes in there really too much at all. If you are getting an OEM piece of glass, then you got to get different approvals and things like that. But that's a personal preference to somebody. If someone's got, a gentleman just called me today that has a 24 Elantra with not many miles on it. I said, do you want Hyundai glass or would you like to? And he wants to go with Hyundai. So It's going to be a little bit longer, but, and no, they don't. As far as there's not much, we don't have to go back and forth on stuff. They basically say, this is what we're going to give you, and either you say yes or we're going to try and take it somewhere else is kind of how it is. So that old myth of, oh, how much do you get? How much can you charge your insurance companies, man? Has, no, they tell us what. Like I said, $35 to $40 an hour is what we get.
Wow. Yeah.
And you guys are saying, wow, like that's...
Mechanics maybe 150, 140, depending.
Yeah, we're at 118 an hour, and I don't know if there's anybody in town less than us, honestly.
So you're saying 30 to 40 an hour, way low, way low.
And
there's a lot of technicians out there making that.
Yes,
that doesn't leave anything for the owner. If you,
okay,
is what that's where I'm looking at going. Boy, if I charge $30 or $40 an hour, I would be in business till Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah,
and
so
then we would go home. I mean.
So, glass is weird as well. If you're out east, they charge a lot more for labor, but they give way higher discounts than we do in Midwest. When you go out west, they charge a lot more for the glass and a little more for the labor. So, when we're calling into insurance companies, the first thing they do is give us the worst price, and then I have to explain to them, hey, this is where we're at. And all the pricing is pretty fair.
I see the look.
How about this? Okay, we're just talking, having a good time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So each piece of glass has a list price, just like everything, right? And insurance companies give you a % off of that. Some of them give you 0%. You get straight what the list is. That's awesome, But for instance, Progressive will give you 18% off glass.
So you really got to be careful where you buy it. I mean,
no, honestly, Jerry, I'll eat it. It doesn't matter if I'm getting 18 here or 40 there. I'm going to put the best piece of glass in, even if it costs me $20 more, because I look at I look at it this way: is that if I take a shortcut this time and it's found out, everybody's going to tell them about that, right? Yeah. I'm like, let's just do it the right way. And like I said, with glass, there's just a couple of brands I won't use.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm very comfortable with all 3 of those brands, honestly.
Okay.
Some of them, honestly, like Pilkington, For instance, they were the OE maker for Honda. So pilots and stuff like that, we had all order Pilkington window because they made Honda's window.
Sure. Yep.
Now, Migrant and FYG, which is another brand, they might be Chevys for 1 year. So I try to find out who the dealer is for them, because then it's the original piece of glass going in there. They're just putting a different stamp on it.
We do that often at the auto shop also, because you look at it going, okay, well, Denso is the OE manufacturer of this. They had, but then there's more to it. I don't know how on your end. I mean, I would assume once you have a form or whatever the process is for making the glass, with us, people will talk about Michelin is a good example on tires. Well, Michelin makes this tire, and it's some off-brand you've never heard of. It's like, okay, you're not wrong. Michelin has a thing called MAST, Michelin America Small Tire. Michelin makes a huge, huge number of tires in private label. They're not Michelin's. If you and I want to start a tire company, right? We're going to have John and Jerry's Tire Company.
Yeah.
We hire someone to design the tire. We hand that to Michelin and say, here's our design for a tire. Now, it could be better than any Michelin that's ever hit the road. It could be total trash. But Michelin's going to look at our schematics and go, okay, how many are you going to buy? Get the economic side of it down. How many quantity you're going to buy, how often you're going to buy them. Are we paying cash? Are you going to need terms? Blah, blah, blah. But they look at your design. They said, for us to build this tire, it's going to cost you this much. And now, John and Jerry's Tire Company's in business. Michelin's making our tires. Well, we can tell everybody Michelin makes our tires, because they do.
But they're your design.
But they're our design. If it's garbage, Michelin's going to make garbage, And
I'm surprised they would even do that.
Well, they don't put their name on it.
Oh, you're
so
right.
See, it's going to be John and Jerry's Tires, not Michelin.
It's like electronics with like Apple and stuff. They're the ones that design it, but they're not the ones making it.
They're not the one building it.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
And they're the ones marketing it, but they're not the ones that build it.
Right. So it's kind of the opposite of what we've got here, where in a lot of cases, batteries are a great example too. Same thing. There's only like 4 battery manufacturers in the entire world. And so thousands of brands. But again, just because it's made by that company, if they're following your specs, well, are you good at this?
It's whoever puts their tag on it and whoever markets it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But you and I can sit there, even though we know we gave them a garbage design. What do we get to tell people? Well, Michelin makes this tire, and they're a premium manufacturer, and people eat that up. People you tell them that, and they'll just so it's like, be honest about it. Yes, Michelin manufactured it, but it's manufactured. If I owned John and Jerry's Tire Company, I don't want to sell it on the premise that my tire is great because this great company makes it. Yeah. I want to brag about John and Jerry's tires.
It's different because of what we did.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I want to tell you why. I have an NDA with Michelin, so I don't give anybody my secrets, because John and Jerry made a hell of a tire, a hell of a design.
Yeah.
But again, people play that game going, so I just didn't know on the glass. With you, I would never question it because I trust you. I know that if I ask you to put glass in something, you're not gonna give me junk. I know that. But the people that don't know you, it's nice to hear the process.
Yeah, and like I said, all of those brands, they all make some better for some vehicles, but that just comes over time of using those vehicles over and over and over, and they're the same people that have been around forever. If someone asked me, would you put an OE or aftermarket in quotations, I'd go aftermarket because it's cheaper.
Sure. Yeah. If you're not losing quality.
Now, the thing that everybody's doing now and jacking the prices of the list prices, especially Mopar, is they're putting all of their symbols on the vehicle.
So Ford does the same thing, right?
Ford does it. Now Chevy does it, and Dodge does it with their Chargers. It's because now you have the customer that sees something that an aftermarket cannot put on there.
Right.
And we have great access to Carlite. So any Fords with the F-150s, we get those right from our manufacturers. The Jeep and Chrysler stuff, all of that stuff. Even Chrysler minivans have like the Chrysler wing on it, and it doubles the price in it just because of that emblem on there.
Yeah, Heather and I were talking about that the other day because our Scat Pack has the little B in it down in the corner, the little Scat Pack logo in the windshield.
It's all about that consumer perception, because it's like, a Nike sock. It's just a regular cotton sock, but you stick the Nike logo on it.
Yep.
You can charge whatever you want for it.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, someone will say, will you say OE versus aftermarket? There are some, I would tell you, you can wipe down an OE window and glass guys will tell you it just feels smoother.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
it does. But as far as breakage or anything, we see just as much breakage in an OE glass as we do in an aftermarket.
So it's not any tougher. I mean,
no. And right now, what we're seeing is in Hyundais, they have that glass so thin that, like, when we do chip repairs, they 2 of the 3 have cracked out. A normal chip repair that you can do when you put a tiny bit of pressure on there, it's cracked out. So that's been a bugger with that type of glass, and that's dealer glass right there. We've had the same thing with the Subaru. The guys, there's a lawsuit against that one that we couldn't find the right one.
Yeah.
He didn't want Subaru glass, and now there's an actual lawsuit against the glass for some reason.
Sure. So we test drove a Grand Wagoneer not long ago. Well, we didn't buy it, but it has thermal imaging. Is that part of the windshield camera, or is that somewhere else? Is that not something you have to do?
Yeah, because aren't there cars that have like the displays that go up like into the windshield that looks almost like a fighter jet pilot cockpit?
Heads-up display,
Heads-up
that's
display.
called.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's coming on a lot more vehicles. Just another way for you to not look down a little bit and keep your eyes on the road. The thermal imaging, I can't completely understand that one right now.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a camera that was in the windshield, or is it cameras out in the? I don't know. I mean, I just know. I know it was a $143,000 rig. That
I think it's in the windshield, and it's supposed to sense deer.
Yeah.
Because you can't see them, so it's
Can't
supposed
see it
to.
at night. It's a thermal imaging. It catches the ditches.
Yeah.
And
Which
so
is
that's
so
something
cool.
else
That's
that you have
really
to
cool.
calibrate. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
When you-
and
yeah.
we've done those ones as well. Yeah, Mopar's actually one that we have to pay somebody to get a gateway into theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to deal with gateways.
Do you
too.
really?
Yep. Oh yeah. Even now on the new stuff, and every manufacturer is moving into that. So as we go into, people whine about paying $100 to diagnose their car.
$50 just to get into the car.
Right. It's going to cost us like $50 just to plug into your car, and then we have to get our money on top of that. So
Coming
this stuff
from
is-
a noob, so you're saying gateway, meaning you have to have someone to unlock,
Right,
basically,
when you
to just
plug
get in.
Like you bring your car to me with a check engine light on. I plug in, I tell you what the codes are, we can read data stream, all this. Now we plug in. If I don't have a gateway or a key, like putting Windows in your computer, you got to have your key. This is what you need. I actually have to download a gateway or a key to unlock your vehicle, so I can watch the data stream and pull codes. And
Yeah. So our gateway is basically another company that Mopar gives authorization to get into their cars. I think it's a safety feature so that just not everybody can be messing in there. I believe.
This came about because, like now on our new stuff, I have an app on my phone. So like if my remote doesn't reach when I'm at work, my remote doesn't reach. So I just go on my phone and I start my truck. I roll down the windows, I lock it, I unlock it, whatever. Well, who else has access? If I can do it with my phone, how far away are we from a hacker coming in and shutting my car off, my OnStar? If you're a GM user, how far are you from someone taking over the car? And now you look at, it becomes even more important, unlike the Teslas. You have some of these self-driving cars. That's all. I mean, what happens if somebody hacks your car?
The government, you're wanted. Just shut your car down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's okay.
Yeah,
They think
that's
all right. That's all right. But
that's a good perk to keep on there. But
but we just don't want Al Qaeda getting into your Tesla, But that's where a lot of this came from, and it's like, Ford just the other day. I mean, 23rd of last month, something like that. They filed for a patent to use their GPS systems with the mapping, where it shows like your speedometer, your spot shows the miles per hour of the road you're on. Like our Explorer's a 15, and it shows you the little mile per hour sign. It says it's 55, and when you break down to like a 45, it changes to 45. They're putting a patent on a way to track that, so that they can send information to who? Law enforcement, I would assume. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not anti-law enforcement by any stretch. Quite the opposite. But there is a point where this becomes a little invasive. So, Yeah, so that gateway's a real thing. It's annoying. So anyway, we went. Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, we went way forward, but here we are. We're about 29, 30 minutes into the podcast, and we know a little more about auto glass, how the insurance companies work with it, how difficult it can be, how expensive it can be at times, or inexpensive depending on what we've got. What about John Radel?
John Radel.
Yeah, where's John from?
John Radel is from southwestern Minnesota. Actually, if you just take Highway 14, about 2 hours and 45 minutes, you'll run into a town called Sanborn. Originally,
I've lived here all my life. I've never heard of Sanborn.
Is that near Mankato?
You go twice as far as Mankato, and then you'll be in it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's small. So my my school was made up of four different towns: Sanborn, Lamberton, Stoughton, and Jeffers. We were Red Rock Central. Anyhow, I was graduated in '98, and I don't know, bummed around for 2 years and realized I didn't have insurance or a steady job, so I got a job with Auto Glass Center.
Oh.
That was out of Mankato. That was a Midwest-based company out of Iowa, really, really good company. I worked there for 2 years, and
Just installing, or what were you doing?
yeah, I was just an installer there. Actually, they were very low on help, and within a month and a half, I had my own van.
Oh, wow.
I would not put somebody in their own van without 2 years of experience. But nowadays, again, it's a lot different than it was
There's
back
a lot more
then.
to do now,
Yes,
yeah.
but so I got pushed into it right away, and I can remember one time I was doing a Mankato State, one of their vans over there, and there was a tool I was trying to use to cut out a vehicle, and it kept breaking through the glass. I remember going home that night just saying, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, But ended up going back, and here I am.
Is this the old school wire and handles?
No,
Not quite that old school?
No, before electric tools, though, but yes. And actually, you say old school. We use those quite often now.
Oh, do you still?
For quarter glasses and removing stuff in body shops and stuff, tight corners. But yeah, so I was there for 2 years, and then I got married to my wife, Darcy. She was from our hometown. We went to high school together, but she went to school in La Crosse and just kind of got together afterwards. And she worked at Mayo, so I transferred from Mankato down to here.
Mama.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Amen. Amen.
Well, I tell you what, the best thing was insurance. Honestly, that would have been a tough move to make without insurance.
That's one of the perks. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Heather and I are both self-employed, and I hear you.
Oh yeah.
I hear you. It's my premiums are over $1,000 a month.
Oh god.
And my deductible is ridiculous, 5 figures. For a deductible.
5 figures.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
Lord.
awful. It's also like having a hip replaced. That's an expensive year. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
And it's so.
That's got to be the worst thing about being a business owner, ain't it?
It's I mean,
They're right up there.
Yeah, if you, I always joke. I said, if you're the guy that can't remember if he turned off the stove or shut off the iron, don't be a business owner, right? If you can't wrap your head around the fact that you can just go upstairs and go to bed and go to sleep and not worry about the thing you might have left on, I said, don't do that. So if you're a guy that can handle stress or doesn't really deal with stress, then you're right. Absolutely, health insurance is the biggest issue. Yep.
I have a question. So all of us kind of get into industries that we love the aspects of them. About glass, were you just like, I could see myself doing this long term. I really enjoy this. What kind of drove you to stay in it for so long?
I think for the longest time, well, I got to work with really good guys. Like 3 of them became owners of their own glass companies, and I mean, or they were managers at some point in time. I forgot the question. Sorry.
What made you stick with glass?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I worked with some great people, so it was always fun. And I don't know, maybe I liked that you drove half the day and only worked half the day. Because it is, as a mobile service, if you're going to Red Wing and Kellogg and St. Charles and back, you got a couple hours on the road. So, and I like to listen to the radio. So,
amen.
Podcasts.
Yes, now
Podcast.
from now on for sure.
From now on. Good call. You can come back.
You are invited
That's
back.
right. You're invited back.
Open door.
But yeah, I mean, and then I think the other thing is we did a lot of work with body shops and dealerships. So I get to go into new body shops and dealerships, and there's always new guys to talk to, and they're all kind of on the same page. So I liked it. I liked cars.
The blue collar crowd is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's almost like you shouldn't say that out loud, right? But why not, right?
Oh,
I mean, it's
way,
who we are.
way
right?
cooler people.
Right.
than-
It's just
yeah.
it's a fun crowd for the most part. You know. Well, it's either run into a real asshole, and the rest of them are awesome.
There you go.
I mean,
Because
it's black and white.
because there's sometimes no filters in those shops.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and that's the wife. I mean, we had that conversation earlier. I can't tell you how many times I come home and I tell her a story about my lack of a filter, and she'll just smile and she's like, "You know they're not coming back, right?" I'm like, "I'm aware. Yeah, I'm aware." I can't tell you how many times that she has said that. She's just such a sweetheart, but she's like, and she says it so politely. You know they're not coming back, right? I do now.
Yeah.
When did you start your own business?
Okay.
Yeah. Where did J-Rocks come from?
And I also kind of a segment from that is I am in a stage in life at the ripe age of 30 where I'm getting into my own businesses now, and it's kind of stressful getting started. Just making that plunge, wanting to kind of take more responsibility, not just work for the man. Kind of think about when you did that, and I'm just very curious to know that.
Yeah, so I was blessed and cursed with I had to do a lot of the work, but that also got me in front of a lot of people. I was the guy that they say all the time, so and maybe just was a little frustrated, but the main thing with me going on my own was Safe Light bought us out of the blue, bought Auto Glass Center. That was another company that they bought probably 15 years ago.
Sure.
And at that point in time, Auto Glass Center had been great for me. I didn't really want to go out because I thought I might take some business and stuff like that. But when I came back and heard this, I mean, I knew right then that I wanted to do it. And like I said, I got blessed with a lot of the body shops and dealerships. Those relationships that I had, they came right away because it basically came down to it is that they were going to lose that customer service again. Right. And the ones that didn't come right away ended up coming a year later.
Yeah, they came.
Yeah.
But
out of that, the best thing out of that is the manager that I had working there. 6 years ago, I got him to come work with me. So now he has 31 years of experience, 20 some with managing, and just probably the most experienced tech in Rochester, I'd say.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And that's
Peter Erickson.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep.
You would almost say that the quality of your business depends on the quality of your team.
Absolutely.
No?
100%.
How do you build? Because Jerry and I,
about the people.
of course,
Yeah.
and Jerry and I have had these conversations in other podcasts and private conversations, and assembling teams. How do you assemble a good team and keep it together? Because that's a very tough managing people. Might be one of the toughest aspects of owning a business, right?
Would you agree? I mean, if you want the easy road on managing people, it starts when you hire them, and none of us are good at hiring. I mean, let's be honest. It's very few. I shouldn't say none of us, but very few of us are good at hiring. It's if you're going to create the team, you have to be good at firing people. I mean, and moving on.
Or be really good at hiring them the first time.
And that's a skill that I would argue so many people believe in their hearts that they're good at.
Yeah.
And I haven't met one yet.
So, as far as in the office, I've struck out a few times.
Yep.
Chamber's great. She ended up leaving for a little while, which both of us, it was a good thing for both of us. I'm so glad that she's back, and I hope she's here for good. So that takes care of that problem.
Yep.
And then as far as techs, I I don't think I would ever train somebody from the ground up.
That's
No.
what my question was, because like on a technician side, for me, I feel the opposite. Because now, depending on where you're at, when you need a quality tech, you've got to find somebody, you know. But again, easier
It's
said than
paying
done,
them.
right?
That's what I found
That's-
is
right.
plain and simple is paying them.
Yep. And you know, again, from my experience, when you're dealing with employees, I mean, that's to me, that's the hardest part about owning a business is employees. When you find good ones, it's awesome because then you can create that cohesive team, and it's more like a family than a team. And when you get to that point, life's good. But then when something goes south, it hits 10 times harder. Because if it's just a person and it's an employee, it's that relationship, when they leave, it doesn't hit you personally. It's just, I got to find a guy, got to find a gal, whatever the case is. When you create that family and then one leaves, it's hard. You know, it's hard. You want, because like you said earlier with Craig.
Oh man, that one crushed me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because you don't want to hold them back, you
Yeah.
know. But the other side of it is every job has a value, and if I think you're the greatest guy in the world, okay, that's great, and I should pay you to do your job because you're doing your job well. But at the end of the day, the job you have has a value, and if that value is $28 an hour, and you know, and you're a great guy and you need $35 an hour, it's like, well, you're a great guy and you do a good job, and I might push the envelope on the value of that position a bit, but you can't just throw it to the wind,
Yeah.
you know?
So, and there's probably more mechanics than auto glass guys out there, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
But I think really finding a good auto glass person, and from the day that I quit and started my own, Peter was on my radar. If I ever get big enough, that's the guy, because I know he knows what he's doing. He has customer service and everything like that. So when I did get him, then the very first thing I said to him, I said, "Who's the next guy?"
Yeah.
And he said, "There's a guy named Devin," and I trained him up the first 5 years. 5 years later, I ended up getting him. Difference between him and Peter, and this has huge to say about who they worked for. Peter worked for a different company before Safelite. Devin only worked for Safelite. When Devin came to me, I was a little surprised at how green he was at 10 years. Now, this guy can calibrate anything, and he's very, very knowledgeable to that. And when I say green, I mean he was stuck doing all brand new cars in the office. So he didn't get to do semis. He didn't get to do buses. He didn't get to do fleet companies and different things like that. And the big difference between our company and almost every other company in town is that we do it all.
I was going to say, I wanted to touch on that before we were done, so I'm glad you brought that up, because, I mean, we were just talking the other day, was it Jeff from Granite Mortgage? He was saying you're doing a boat for him or something, or did a boat for him.
Yeah,
I mean, a boat.
Yeah.
You know, the
So-
auto glass guy.
That's
doing a boat.
awesome that you
Right,
do
it's-
all of them. That's
right.
great.
Yeah, it's great. But
That's awesome.
But you got to talk about that a little bit, because when I hear J-Rock's auto glass, I'm thinking
Yeah.
car windshields.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I'm just narrow-minded. That's
How about a train?
come on.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're just showing
No.
off.
No, it was an old gasket window that they had broken something out of it, and we went and got it and cut the piece of glass. So that's, I mean, auto glass, a lot of people do auto glass, your standard vehicles.
Sure. Yep.
My understanding is that Safelite about a year ago really only wants insurance work. They stopped doing.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Anyhow, they stopped doing like fleet companies and buses and all of those. Even semi. So what's happening is...
So what he's saying, folks, is if you have a bus company, a fleet contract, or a semi, you should call J Rock's Auto Glass. What's the number?
It's almost like you're cornering...
507-319-1050.
There we go.
It's almost like you're cornering the market in some of these things. It's great.
That's
Awesome.
right. Write that
only,
down.
Only guy in town doing it.
Well, no, that's not about that. There's still
Yeah.
guys that do that. But the thing I think that's a big thing that sets us apart is RVs. We do basically anything with the RV companies around town, and a lot of times we got to have them come to us, just the size of the things.
Sure.
But we're one of the only companies that still do the big RVs and motor coaches and stuff like that, like Rochester City Lines. We do all of their buses and stuff like that. But
so I have an RV. It's a park model. It's not a motorhome style, but now it has. There's a name for it. You'll know what it is. When you look at the windows, they have their gasket around them, the framework.
Yep.
Then like ours just looks like a piece of glass on the outside of the wall. There's no anything around it. I don't remember there's a name for it, I know, but regardless, can you do all that kind of stuff too? Or is that different?
Yes. So on things like that, we use a company out of Indiana called Park and Accessories. We get the numbers off of it, and if it's your side windows or back windows or anything like that, I like to say if it's got motor or wheels, that usually we can do something with it.
Oh, so not a glass at my house. You can't do that one.
No,
can't do that.
auto glass.
Wait a minute, you can't say that. You just told me you did a train.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right, but it's got a motor.
All right, it's got a motor. Fair enough.
And then we get a lot of referrals from glass companies in town about old glass. Just nobody wants to touch it, and it comes down to like this, is that nobody's getting trained in it anymore. When I talked about the Safe Light techs only being there for 3 years and being able to do these few things, man, I mean, you're not a fully rounded tech when you're doing that. I mean, it serves its purpose for exactly what they want, but there isn't many of those people around to do that old stuff. Like a 57 Chevy with the big old curved windows and the chrome that snaps down in there. Most of those cars are $100,000 cars,
Right now they are.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I hate saying no. Hate it. So when someone calls and has something, it's this gentleman has a 34 Ford Coupe Deluxe that he's missing some inside window trim or something like that really has nothing to do with what I have, but I got some people that I know, and I'm going to try and put it together. I always look at it as, man, if I can serve this one person, they have a wife or they have a kid or they know somebody who owns this or something. So I've always said, put your best foot forward every single time, because you don't know what's going to come,
Right. Yeah, on average, the guy's probably driving 15,000 miles a year, like the rest of us. How many miles are going out 34? A few hundred, maybe, in that year. The rest that's all in his F-150 or his GMC or his Impala, something that something that you could put glass in. I mean, without a headache.
So when it comes to like some people say it's cliche to say your best aspect of your business is customer service, but when I think of customer service, it's like when I'm going somewhere to Menards and finding something and someone walks up to me and asks what I want and takes me there and explains it and does everything like that, man, that's what I'm like, now that person really cares, and it makes me happy.
Right.
So I try to do that for my customers as well, give them that experience of just making them happy. We've had a lady go into her insurance agent and brought her a bucket of raspberries and said, those guys just came out and they were so great and all this stuff like that, man. And there ain't anything better than feeling that, you know? And it's not that hard. I always said, if you have a product that somebody needs and you're kind to them and you do what you say, man, you should be successful.
Right.
And then price is not a huge deal at that point, because they'll pay for it. Right. They're going to pay for the quality as opposed to skating the price and getting a bad experience.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but I mean, I have businesses and we sell guns, we fix cars, we make T-shirts, right? So I'm not the only guy that can fix a car. I'm not the only guy that can sell a gun. Definitely not the only guy that can make a T-shirt. You're not the only guy that can put a windshield in. you just said earlier, you go to Menards and the guy grabs you and he says, yeah, let's go down here. How many times have you went to somewhere like that and like, yeah, it's aisle 17.
Always.
And they just turn around and walk away.
And it's becoming more and more of a precedent.
And then you go to aisle 17 and it's like nuts and bolts. It's like, I asked for a toilet bowl ring, It's like, but now they're nowhere to be found.
I had one when I asked him a question. He pointed one way. When I turned around, he was completely gone. He had to have ran.
Right. But, so at the end of the day, to say you're going to be the best, that's hard. There's only one, right? There's only one best. So you put an auto glass, like you said, when the guys across town, they've got the same 6 or 7 places to buy glass. I put in alternators. I'm putting in the same alternator that the guy down the street's going to buy and put in. None of us make them. You're not making glass. I'm not making alternators. And so at the end of the day, you got to charge a fair price, and you've got to have a good product. But the people, you said it earlier when we first started this, it's like the people make the difference. And why do the people make the difference? Because it's where the customer service comes from, right? Because when I've always said, since we started Broadway Car Care, it's, when people are like, why should I bring my car to you? I've got, especially the older guys, you hear that a lot. That was why should I bring my car to you? It's like, well, what's your mechanic's name? Well, I go to Goodyear. I go to, whatever. I go to, and it's like, okay, I didn't ask you what building you went to, right? Buildings don't fix cars. What's your mechanic's name? When someone tells me J-Rocks, my guess is they're not going to say, if I ask them, who do you work with there? They're going to list off you. They're going to say Peter. They're going to say Chamber. They're going to have a person.
Yes.
Right. That's what it's about. You make that connection, and it's good for the clients too, because when that client knows John Radel, he knows Chamber, he knows Peter. That puts pressure on you. You can't take advantage of that person. You can't do something, and if you do make a mistake, because we're human, mistakes happen, right? So you don't ever tell someone you're not going to make a mistake. You tell them we're going to stand behind whatever we do.
I got one for you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
One of us did a windshield in town here, and it was a 18 Chevy pickup, and I get a call and said, did you take this thing out with a screwdriver? And I'm like, what? And he sent me pictures, and it ended up being on those 18 Silverados that paint flaked right around on all of those on there. And I said, that's what it was. And he said, it wasn't like that before. And I said, I'll tell you what. I said, you take it to whoever you want to, and whatever it takes to get it taken care of, I said, we'll do it. I said, if you'd like me to come pick it up, we'll come and pick it up. And I would have lost money on that one. He didn't call back, and we didn't have to do it. But I always look at it this way, is that if I can take care of the customer in those situations, they can be in the bar talking about, oh, J-Rocks did this, and they did this to their, and the guy's like, oh, yeah, what'd they do? Well, they took it and they painted and stuff. So now that guy that heard the story is like, well, he took care of you. Nice work,
Yeah. The people that expect you to never make a mistake, that's not reality. And that's not the customer you need. The people that understand you're a human being. And now, if that phone call comes and you're just like, I got better things to do. Well, you're not, that story's going to get around.
Yeah.
You got to take care of your people. And again, the business, the building, the name doesn't, people take care of people, and that's what it's all about. I mean, John has recently joined Small Business Referral Group, and that's why we're here. And you're in there, you're not dealing with business, right? It's Small Business Referral Group, so it's all about business. But you're in there when you're actually in the room, when you're actually in a meeting, you're not dealing with business.
People.
You're dealing with people, right? You're building relationships. You're shaking hands with somebody you never met, and 6 months from now, you guys are going to be on the golf course, or well, not 6 months from now in Minnesota, but you know what I mean. You're gonna be going doing something with. I guarantee you, at least half a dozen people in that room, if not more, knowing you and your personality. Within 6 months, you're going to be doing social things with people in that room, and that is going to lead to business.
Well, and that's huge power for SBR for me was, I mean, just that opportunity to get in front of more people. And I've always said, in groups like these, the snakes will weed themselves out.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
can't last long if you are, because
Right.
no one's going to refer you if you. And we've been in some sort of business or group
Yep.
for
Other networking groups?
There you go.
Yeah.
Other networking groups for the past 7 years because I realize how helpful they are, not only for my business,
Yep.
but I mean, just meeting people like
Personally.
you to do
Personal
it.
development?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And the connection you make. I had a conversation with Brian, one of our other members, and I was asking him, because he's never been in a networking group or referral group of any sort, and so this is brand new to him. And we're 4 weeks? We had 4 meetings. We're 4 weeks in, and I asked him, just early update. What do you think? And he laughs. He goes, if I don't get a single, this is how he starts it. If I don't get a single piece of business from this group, I'll still renew, because the people I'm meeting and the businesses I didn't even realize were out there are now friends of mine.
And probably saving money.
Right. And he goes, the amount of money that I'm going to save and the benefit to me personally by being in the group, he goes, if I never get a referral, it'll be worth it. I said, well, don't say that out loud again.
As you're saying it on a podcast.
Right, as I'm saying on a podcast. Right. Shh.
Yeah.
But that's his feeling, and I'm like, well, and everybody else in the room, and I that's what the conversation. I said, everybody else in the room feels the same way, and you're on the other end of this. They're all thinking the same thing, and you're one of the people that they're going to use to make their lives easier.
Yeah.
Whether it's convenience, it's money, it's both, regardless. And then you have that personal relationship, and we said this at the meeting this last 2 weeks ago. Success is awesome, even when it's not yours, right? And we talked about that.
Yeah.
It's like, and so now you're in this group with 30 other people, and you don't want anybody to stand up next week and go, "This is my last week in the group because we're closing her up. Things aren't going well." Nobody wants to hear that.
No.
Nobody. And if anybody in that group is struggling, you're going to do what you can to help, because it's going to come back. You know that if that day ever comes for you, they're going to be there for you.
Yes.
And these are people you didn't know a month ago.
That's the part that resonated with me, was you were talking about twice now, where what you do to someone else or how you treat someone else is going to be told to other people, and you're thinking about that constantly. I think a lot of people don't think that way a lot of times, and it's not that we care exactly. It's not like we care what people think about us. That's a whole different thing about your personal confidence and that stuff. But you realize the power of word of mouth and the power of people talking about your business. And that's a huge key takeaway I've taken from that. Just thinking about that person is still going to talk to their whole sphere of influence, and that I want that to be positive to me, no matter how hard it hurts. I want it to be positive about me, because that'll be future business.
Right.
Well, and like you said, Jerry, there is stuff that we deal with that the worst thing right now is getting those camera brackets in that have a little piece broken off, and you didn't see it till the window's out and the things there, The biggest thing is, if you're upfront and tell them right away, don't try to sneak anything. Oh, man, I've seen people tie wire to keep a camera on there before.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
there was a piece broke, so they used a piece of wire to hold the camera up there. But
That's horrible.
So I have a question as well. For young entrepreneurs, if you had to, if we had a couple in here, along with myself, sitting here, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur that's, starting their own business, going out on their own, taking that leap of faith? What's some advice you would give somebody from experiences you've had?
the first thing would be
Marry up.
Get a security blanket and wipe it up. Lock it down.
That's the best. Now John can give you the second best piece of advice.
Okay,
Now you know.
so.
Second step.
When we did this, it was obviously with me and my wife, and she is very detail oriented. So one huge thing that actually helped us out. Have you guys ever heard of the SCORE program? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Please let me know about it. What is it?
Oh.
So it's basically a program that I think Community Ed puts together, and they'll bring in like lawyers and tax people and business
that's awesome.
people each week and say, hey, prepare for this and how to do a business plan and things like that.
And this is for like high schoolers or college
No,
students?
this is for small
you.
business
Oh,
owners.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this is for us.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So that was the first thing.
What's not Holiday Inn downtown anymore, but it's in the main
Hilton
floor
or
of
Kaler.
Well, right downtown.
Sorry, I don't get downtown.
Yeah, it's used to be.
Gosh, you can't even get down there half the time.
Crave is upstairs. The old
Oh,
Holiday Inn downtown, and it's in the main floor.
Is that not Hilton?
I don't know. Could be. I drive by it twice a day going to work.
Right.
I don't know. It's just been there forever. But yeah, Score is a yep. People don't.
And get information from other people. That's what Score is. It's helping you out, but ask the questions.
Right.
Don't go too big too fast.
Yeah. And I have another question for two seasoned business owners. How do you guys deal with partnerships when it comes to partnering up with people? Like, have you had to do a partnership for business?
It's dangerous.
Yeah, and it's something that I've thought about for just in general and seeing other friends of mine that are in business. How do you guys deal with structuring partnerships?
So I tried maybe 6 years into just to have that extra help. I was doing everything, you know, and I'm like, if I can just do this and we can do this and everybody grows, you gotta know that person's business style, because if it doesn't jive, it's gonna hurt. Someone told me once, the first ship to sink is a partnership.
Well, let me ask you this.
But again, I don't know who you're talking with.
Right.
People work together. If you guys are on the same page of what your goals are, I think that's a huge thing. And it didn't work for me, not only because of the other person, but I didn't do things right as well. But it
takes two.
Yeah.
And trust, absolutely. I think, is the main concrete at the bottom of that, correct? It's got to be.
It is. But now, and this isn't like the only way to create a good partnership, but it's what has worked for me. And it, like I say, I know Darwin, I've been together for 21 years.
I feel like you've had a lot of partnerships.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So.
I do. But and again, this isn't the only way to do it, but it's a solid way for me. Obviously, the trust has to be a decent human being that you're working with. You know, you have to have similar values. And I'm not just talking business, but I mean in life, you've got to have similar values, right? I mean, and not to get political, but if you're a diehard conservative and they are a far left liberal, that's going to be
It's going to be tough to meet at the same ground and fight a battle together.
Right, because you're going to have different, because if you're that different in political views, you're probably differing other places too.
Oh, we could just give that one away. It's like, no, we can't give that away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, so, but my, I don't know, secret sauce, I guess you want to call it, is if you and I are going to get in a partnership, like I'm going to pick on John a little bit. John was looking for help, right? So for me, that's a red flag right away, because John's doing everything. He wants to find another guy. He wants to find John 2.0 who can do everything and help him with everything. Okay? My mentality is I want to find that guy that can do the parts of the business that I am weak in and I don't like doing, and I need his yin to fill my yang, because he has to need me as much as I need him. The problem is when you put two of us together that have the same skill set.
Yeah, two alphas in the same room.
Right. That's and it's okay to have two alphas in the same room as long as he's like Darwin. I turning wrenches. That guy's a genius, and he is so fast and he's motivated. He can beat time and do it right. And when something doesn't go right, we're in Minnesota. Bolts don't come out. They rust. They corrode. They don't come out. Darwin, between welders and torches, the guy is a genius.
That's awesome.
Right? Now, I can't do any of that. Now, we come up front, and to get into QuickBooks and write a check, he's just going to stare at it and laugh.
Jerry, get over here.
Yep, it's like all those questions that kids ask their mom. What's the question they ask their dad? Where's mom? Right?
Yeah.
But so Darwin needs me up front, but I can't survive without him in back. So that partnership works great, because, and the other side of it, not only does he not know what I do up front or know it well enough to do it, he doesn't want to know. And in the back, turning wrenches, pass. I'm not interested.
But then you lose half of that, though, ever, in worst case scenario.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I mean, I was in the hospital 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
I mean, now, not to be dramatic, but I could have died. I mean, it happens all the
Absolutely.
time. You know,
Thank the Lord, no, but
right,
absolutely,
right.
yes.
Because I mean, hell, that's where all the sick people are.
Yeah, right.
right. So I mean, that could have turned out horrible. I mean, I'm
100%.
fortunate to be here, and I feel fortunate to be here. But right, then you have, and there's other concessions. You have buy-sell agreements. You have
Sure.
But no, if you're going to have two owners, my big red flag is trying to pick that guy that can keep up with you.
Interesting.
In the same things you do.
Jerry, that's amazing. Because what I did was try to find somebody that helped me.
Right, John.
And what I
2.0,
ended up doing is finding Chamber, doing all the stuff I didn't like.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you said. You know, I don't mind talking to the people on the phone stuff, but when it comes to ordering and some paperwork and things like that, that can get pushed off pretty quick by me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And
so finding, that's a great point.
yeah.
Finding
see, for me,
somebody
that I mean, it's no different if you and I were getting a partnership. As long as you still like doing glass, we'd be great. Because I'm going to sit up front. I'm going to talk to customers. I'm going to keep everybody happy on the front side because I know you're going to do a good job on the back side. So as long as you keep doing what you're doing, I can do what I do. You need me. You're going to get dependent on me doing that because now you don't have to do it and you get to like not doing it. I'm never putting glass in because I don't want to, and I need you. That dependency is what makes it work. As much as you don't want to admit that I need you and you need me, it's not something you want to say out loud, but that dependency makes it work. It's when you decide that you're going to come in and tell me how to do my job, and I'm going to go out there and tell you where you should be doing this instead of that. That's when you know, and that's the equivalent of being broke in a marriage. You know, money will destroy you.
100%.
In business, the alpha, when I think I can do your job better than you do, and you think you can do mine better than me, now that's when you start butting heads, and that's what tears it apart.
My thing is, you talk about it that way, and it's simple concepts, but so many people are horrible at what you're just talking about. It's something that I think to break into that 90% of failure rate for businesses, people need to understand those simple concepts and capitalize on them, and either develop them, or people that have those skills and don't have the confidence to utilize them, because that is way harder to do than you're describing it, but it's so hard to do, and I find so many people that are not good at that.
Okay, so here I am, 53-year-old fat guy, right? Okay, now losing weight, is it difficult? I can tell you how to lose weight, right? I mean, I can do the math and say, well, at 4,000 calories a day, I'm going to gain a pound a month. At 2,000 calories a day, I'm going to lose a pound a month, right? So just eat 2,000 calories. Pretty freaking simple. Okay. Well, I've been fat for a long time. Not really enjoying that part, but I love my cheeseburgers. So losing that weight, I know how. It's not rocket science.
No.
Nothing in life. All these complicated issues that we have for ourselves, whether it's you and your wife, it's you and your money, it's you and your business. The solutions are all relatively simple, but are you willing to do it? Am I willing to do it? Right?
Because it's hard work.
Yeah. And I heard something recently that I think is profound, and not to make this about me. This is your podcast, John.
Man.
But
I love it. Hope you have me back.
Since absolutely.
Amen.
I mean, I love this. I have so much fun with this. But speaking of the weight thing, since February, I've lost 32 pounds since February.
Congrats.
Very nice.
And it sucks, right? It's hard. I mean, Now I was in the hospital. That was like almost 10 pounds in like 3 days. So I mean that. I don't know if that counts, but I'm going to call it. I'm going to take credit.
Yeah. We'll count it. We'll count it.
We'll count it. Thank you. But my point is, I heard something that was profound. It's like, okay, so being broke and not paying your bills, it's hard, right? Getting up every morning, going to work, earning a paycheck to pay your bills, it's hard. Pick your heart, right? Losing weight, eating right, watching your calories, exercising, it's hard. Being fat, trying to button up a shirt, going, I'm not going to wear that shirt today. And I just pants really got to suck it in to take a deep breath.
We have a special event coming up, and I got to try to figure out what I'm going to wear and all this stuff.
Right? Oh, that's hard. That's hard. Right?
Pick your heart.
Pick your heart.
No.
So it's like that's that kind of thing. It does motivate me a bit. It's like you said. It's a cliche. It's a very simple thing to say, way harder to do. So I don't want to come across going, well, John, you should have just gotten shouldn't have got this guy and have been fine. I don't mean it like that. It's not like that.
No,
it's very difficult.
Me pointing that out is not to say that it was simple the way that you were describing it, but the way that you've already brainstormed it and done it from experience, it just seemed like you have it so down to a science and you understand how people operate and being able to figure out those roadmaps. And I wish more people were better at that. That was what I was trying to say.
Me too.
Because I think we'd be in a different place in a lot of areas in culture. If we
it boils down to, how many times you heard, well, if it was easy,
everyone would be doing it,
right? Everybody would do it.
Absolutely.
So, but I still think that when you're looking for a solution, most of the time, the solution is pretty simple. Now, simple is not easy, but the solution is simple. I can explain how to pick the right partner in 3 minutes, and it's simple.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
No,
right?
No.
And you're going to go through a few, and then what happens when you and I are partners, and 2 years into that partnership, things are going great, and then you get married. Right. Now you've got another influence, and what if that influence is not
on the same page as your partner?
And then I'm the older guy, so 2 years after that, I get divorced. That changes things. That changes people, right? Because that's stress. It changes your outlook. There's a million different things that can happen that change your outlook, and people change. John, you said you're almost 45 years old. Your goals today versus your goals even just say 10 years ago, they're not the same, are they?
No.
You've grown as a person. You've grown as an entrepreneur. You've grown, as a boss, and now you. And not to say that you ever treated your people bad. I don't read into that, but you probably treat your employees a little differently now than you did 10 years ago. Just you evolve, right? You learn, you evolve, and the compassion and passion for the business, for the people. You start realizing it's more about the people, it's less about the business. And when you focus on the people, the business comes.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. You're good. Run
with it because it's
is the staple in that point. Are we? Because I had a question that I wanted to get to because that was wrapped up so well. But I had a question for your business moving forward. In the coming years, what are the hurdles or some hills that you feel that you might need to be climbing up, or is it, it's cruising, we're good, or do you see some stuff that you're seeing in the future that might need? Because I know for my industry, things are just changing every 6 months, every quarter, and there's some hurdles we're going over and trying to navigate. And we've done well so far, but gosh, it's getting weird out there. So
can't get lazy.
No, we are going to be, as far as insurance work. Yeah, Minnesota is one of a few states that allows you to have a $0 deductible. Maybe only like 5 or 8 states can.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not a normal.
No, they have a mandatory deductible on a glass claim. So you go out to like Yosemite or someplace like that, or Yellowstone, and just look at all the vehicles. Most of them have cracked windows because they don't want to pay the deductible.
Fascinating.
I didn't know that.
I would say that maybe that's coming. I know that the legislator in Minnesota fought hard to be able to have a $0 deductible, but I see a lot of stuff changing in the insurance with the price of glass, with how much people are charging for calibrations. Some of these people, to plug a scan tool in and go drive it down a road for 10 minutes, they'll charge $1,000 to the company. Now that, again, it goes back to getting on their networks and all the stuff like that. The rogue people that are doing that stuff are what help driving up those costs.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, and to be fair too, again, not to get political, but you take the pharmaceutical industry out of the mix. Insurance companies have a vast network of lobbyists.
100%. You couldn't have said that better.
Yeah. So that's.
And I'm the little hand on the clock that's just kind of in there going around every single day. I'm not in the inner workings. I'm not inside operating it. So, I'm just kind of getting along here.
Right.
And what was the original question again? Something about...
Well, I was just saying, the industry moving forward, and maybe in your region here in Rochester, or your business moving forward, either do you see things really streamlined for you, or some hurdles that you're going to be going over, or what do you see in the coming years? Or
we are pretty well set up for, like, the calibration side of it. new cars come out, but like all of Hyundai's use the same stand and the same board. So I don't have to go buy a new one for 24 and 25. They're just at different heights and things like that. Sure. So now once you have that equipment, it's just the new technologies coming out. A lot of people say that the technology's there. They just really need to tweak it. I think the transportation's Pete Buttigieg or whatever, he said right now that they can stop vehicles at like 30. Yeah. But this part is good. Okay. Right now, he said that the vehicles can stop with going 30 miles an hour and not have rear end collisions. He wants to get up to 60 miles an hour. That technology's here. It's just getting better. Sure. And more precise. That one next step is autonomous driving. My understanding is that nobody wants to take that next step and say, hey, it's fully autonomous, because once they do that, if there's ever an accident, it's back on the company, like Mercedes car or Tesla's or whoever it is that says, yes, this will go.
That's an insurance nightmare, autonomous driving, I would think.
You're talking about autopilot and stuff like that?
Self-driving car.
Haven't ran into it a whole lot, but it's only going to become more of a popular thing. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I want to say something about John to answer that question a little bit too, or put my 2 cents in, like this is what I do.
Really? No way.
I know.
You speak your mind, Jerry? I don't know about all that.
Goes out the window. But when you talk about the roadblocks, now there's about almost a 10-year difference between you and I. I mean, I'll be 54 here shortly. And I'm on the backside of this. Every time new technology comes out, I just roll my eyes. I'm just like, I'm that grumpy old, I'm Clint Eastwood on his front porch. Yeah. Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn. Every time I see a new piece of technology, I'm like, I'm that much closer to retirement. Yeah. I'm just, I'm done. But then I look at you, and I'll tell you, you and I have never had this conversation. So this is the first time I'm saying this, and I'm glad it's in person and not talking about you. The fact that you have your calibration company, that to me tells me everything I need to know about your ability to change and not retire tomorrow because there's new technology. You have the calibration company. What's the name of it?
ClearSight Calibrations.
ClearSight Calibration. Okay, so you have ClearSight Calibrations. That's a company that, now you said this came out in 2007, this technology.
But no one's really calibrated until the last 10 years. They didn't know.
So I was going to say, it happened in 2007. But ClearSight Calibration couldn't have existed even really 10 or 15 years ago. It would have been just a fledgling, a high risk.
It's 8 years old.
8 years old.
Yeah.
So
soon as the first tool came out to be able to do it,
I remember that when you said
bought
that.
it.
I when you told me about that, I Googled it because I didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm a car guy. How do I not know this? And I look it up, and I'm just like, you were about 5 years early, John. That was my opinion. Obviously I didn't criticize you, and I never said this to anybody else, but in my head I'm going, damn, dude, by the time you even get close to paying off that machine, there's going to be 5 new machines that do it in half the time for a quarter of the money, was my thought. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, if that happened, but so that part of it, I was worried. But the thing is, if you don't jump on it right away, you're not the expert when the time comes. Here we are 8 years later, you're the go-to guy. You're the go-to company, right? And I'm too old for that. I'm not going to be that cutting-edge guy anymore. I'm the guy that, I'm terrified. When new technology comes out, I'm like, get off my lawn. I want no part of it. And so I have nothing but good things to say about you. I knew J-Rocks was a winner when we first met. I mean, just the way you handled my stuff, I was like, man, if you take care of all, and I'm not special, so I knew if you did that for me, you did it for everybody.
Yeah.
And then when I see this calibration company, I was so nervous for you. And then you come up, it's like, this is a business that didn't even exist, couldn't have existed more than 10 years ago. And here you are, and now the fact that the ClearSight's not just J-Rocks only. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I just kudos. I mean, it's just that's where I have to. My answer to Jordan's question is, doesn't matter what changes. You're gonna deal with it.
Someone once said we go to an auto glass conference every year just to keep up, and in the last 7 years, it's 90% ADAS stuff and about 10% windshields. But one of the guys said, he's like, I was having a conversation with a guy, and they asked, are you're doing calibrations now. And I said, well, if you're not, you must be retiring, because that's what it's coming to, you know. And when that first system came out, I knew that that's what was, it was just the beginning of it. It's an absolute dinosaur that went extinct, that one.
Yeah.
It was 20 grand when I bought that thing. This new one is double, but it just comes down to, that's what it came to. I wanted to get into it, and the reason why is I want to be a one-stop shop. Yep. Come here, let me do this, and then let me keep my hands on it so that I know that it's done right. I don't want you... There's 5 glass companies in town. 3 of the 5 are doing calibrations.
So I'm gonna add.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna add on to that, John. I'm impressed. You know, doing all this stuff, learning about you, learning about your businesses. When do you think Safe Light's gonna come around knocking, asking for your market share, huh?
Yeah. When are you gonna?
When is that gonna be?
I'm not gonna ask. Yeah. Say I'm not gonna ask you if you're gonna sell out.
Nope, that's not what I'm asking. But I think it's gonna be sooner rather than later, just based on hearing about how you treat people and how you're doing it out here.
I thought about going and starting in Mankato and maybe going in different places like that, but it came very clear to me that if I want to run something really good, it's going to be one thing. And I got a great group of people. I'm a little guy, man. They don't care about me. They want bigger. That's all.
I don't know. You're getting bigger every day, though. I'm just saying. That's what it seems like.
I like it too much.
Yeah.
I do, and
Amen.
I like the people
Amen.
that I work with, and it's really, glass is getting more exciting now than it was. There's funny thing is that it may be way more extensive for the cameras and all of that stuff on the window, but the actual installation of it and taking out of it is about 10 times easier than it was.
Oh, really?
It's so much easier, just with softer moldings and not these big metal plastic ones that went over, but it's always learning too. That's I like to, you know what? We get to see new cars all the time, all different kinds of cars.
Absolutely.
You know,
I bet.
Do it until you don't like it anymore, correct?
Yeah.
Do it until you no longer have the passion and you're ready to move
Do
on,
it till,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Do it till the wheels fall off.
and
You find a buyer.
there's just something about, I don't know,
You'll
getting
know
up
when
on
the right
that
time
window
is,
and doing it. It just, I really, really enjoy it. And
See, that's what I love. I love being able to find what gets you up in the morning. Because for me, for the last 5 years, every time I wake up in the morning, I'm motivated to get to the office because I'm doing my insurance, meeting with my clients. I got, my stuff with Small Business Referral Group. I got reffing probably that night, and I love reffing football and basketball. Like, I get up in the morning excited to attack the day.
Yeah.
I don't like to go to sleep because I'm like, gosh, I just want to get up and go do that. And prior to that, for the last 3 years behind that 5 years, I hated it. Every day I got up to go work that retail job or that technician job, I was like, I hate my life. I gotta switch it up. Yep. So if you're able to find that, what gets you up in the morning and you're happy, gosh, it's a dime a dozen, I feel like, though.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. No, John, I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. You have an excellent business. You have great people around you. The customer service has been top notch. I remember I felt so terrible when you back in the beginning we talked about my Stingray, and you guys came and did that. I had my new garage up, so they come and did it. And that I didn't have it air conditioned or anything yet. You guys had to pick it had to be like 172 degrees that day. I mean, it was. You guys were just.
There was one thing I remember about that, and it was that little spot in the top middle there that we won't talk about, but. I mean, I think that kind of proved a point of J-Rocks itself, is that I took the time to say, hey, Jerry, here's what we got going on your car, and you can do this one thing that's going to cost a ton of money, or we're going to be able to get away with this. It's going to be just as safe and save you some money, and it's...
And he didn't move forward until he talked to me.
Yeah.
No. So, I mean, honestly, it was... I was so impressed with that. It was just... No. Now it's like, I just sent you a customer of mine just Monday or Tuesday. I said it must have been Monday. No, it was last week. It was last Friday because Shamber and Mike and Heather and I all went out for lunch on Sunday. And I told her, I said, you need to call us. I got a friend of mine, owns J-Rocks, John Radel. I said, you're going to end up talking to Shamber. And I said, tell Chamber that I'm looking forward to lunch on Sunday. And Lisa's a good customer of mine. She's been with us since almost the beginning. She's been with us probably, we've been open just short of 21 years. She's probably been there 18 or 19 of those. And she kind of laughs. And then it was about, 2 hours later, Chamber calls and she says, do you tell everybody we're going to lunch or what? And she was just, picking on me. I was like, well, yeah, why not? You're a big deal.
Say, I do have one other, you asked about hurdles.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest thing is going to be, so when you talk about calibrations, there's two different types. The one you can just plug a scan tool in, a dynamic, and then you basically tell the car, hey, we're going to learn. You drive a little bit, it says, okay, we're good to go. That's got its calibration done. Mostly all foreign vehicles take a static. And what that is you got to have those stands in perfect
plates.
Conditions on flat ground so that it all is reading the right spot. Our issue is going to be people that live in Leroy and people that live in Wabasha and people that live in Winona.
You have to get those to your shop,
yes,
aren't you?
Yes. I mean, the idea of mobile auto glass for foreign cars after 2024 it's going to go out the window. So trying to get somebody to come up 45 minutes to, I just had someone from Chatfield that thought it was the most inconvenient thing, but, that, and then what about just the big companies trying to push the small guys out? For instance, all this stuff that you got to get in with the gateways and different things like that. I see it in the body shops. If you don't have a huge scan tool, there's, you got to rent it from one place or go to another place. But that's where our company can help those people. They don't have to take it out to the different dealerships and stuff like that. But I just wanted to put a note on that because that's one to get that, and it's tough to get out to people to try to.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm just gonna share one last thing.
Then I got one thing. But
okay, well, go ahead, Jared.
No, well, I was just gonna say is moving forward, we do me personally, I probably do a couple glasses a week. So I'm excited to connect with you because I think we're gonna be sending some clients your way to get taken care of. So
Good.
I'm excited about that. So
when you build that trust, your clients trust you.
Yep.
So you need to be with good people.
Absolutely.
We like to say is that we try to make the customers have their agent be the hero.
Yeah.
And
wow, thank you. Those guys were great.
Right. And I wanted to ask because this is very vital and important. How do I get a hold of you to do that?
You can call us at 507-319-1050, jrocksglass@gmail.com.
Okay. So not a web portal or anything. I'm just giving them the phone number. I'm calling it in or doing an email.
Are we talking you yourself as an agent?
Filing a claim, yes.
Okay. For us, the best way is if you can just give us the information via email, policy number, the person, their insurance company.
Okay.
Usually a VIN nowadays.
Okay.
Yep. Have you met Chamber yet?
No. I don't. Maybe I have. I haven't met. I'm
We'll have to get you
great with faces, terrible with names. So
we'll have to get you into a Tuesday
course.
morning meeting.
Yes.
Yep. And then we'll make that connection because that'll be what I do then because I'll just send that email and we'll get it rolling. So.
Yep. And for us, another, just the extra thing that we do is when it comes over, as soon as we get it scheduled with the person, we email the agent back saying, hey, we talked to this person, we're on the schedule for this.
That's what I need, that follow-up.
Nobody falls through the cracks.
Need that follow-up. That's what I need. Perfect.
And I don't know how I mean, I assume I know how Chamber is on your end, but I know on my end, when I need something, you call, she calls my agent, when I call direct, I mean, knowing you guys, and Chamber she just takes care of it, and it just works. And, but I've had agents try to push me to their company, a company. It's like, nope. I mean, that's something you should talk about for a few minutes.
Can't wait to have you back on and we can address that.
That's true. We can talk about that then.
How a glass company owns a auto glass network. Yeah. Come back for that topic.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Jerry?
Well, I'm going to say, and this is something I'm probably going to, for everyone listening, both of you, we're going to...
All two of you, listen up.
But, I'm going to say this is something that I had a conversation with a budding small business owner that he's going to do a moving company. And great kid. And I say kid to anybody under 30, just for the record. So you're out now.
Yes.
You've graduated, passed. We're there, kid. We're getting there.
I'm 29 forever.
But I told him, I said, the hardest day, to this kind of lends to your question about the hurdles to John, the hardest day, in my opinion, as a small business owner is a day you're having a problem, which is every day, right? And that you've had enough of those days that you realize that this never ends. Okay? Or you talk, like you're 30, you talk to a guy who's 50 or a guy that's 60 that's been in business his whole life, and he just tells you the hard truth of, yeah, that problem you had today, that's not the last one. It's not the second to last one. Those never end. If you do this for another 50 years till you're 85, you're going to have problems all the way through. That's how it works. That's the hardest day because it feels overwhelming. It can just be defeating because it's like these issues I've been having, it's not just a starting a business issue. It's a business issue, and you're going to have them. Things are going to surprise you every time that you think you've got a grip on it. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how much experience you are or have or how much money you're holding on to. Those problems, they just keep coming. And this is not to defeat people and talk them out of starting a business, but that's the hardest day. And then you listen to these people will tell you, don't look in the rearview mirror, your life's ahead of you, everything's forward, look forward. BS. Look in that rearview mirror. Yeah. Because all those problems you've been having, you have had, here you are, right?
Yes.
You've gotten through them.
That's a huge thing that I was going to say too is I'm a one step forward and two step back guy.
Oh, yeah. A lot of us learn the hard way.
I do, but the only thing is that I don't think it's, someone says it's not failure, but man, it is straight learning. You'll know not to do that or how to do it differently and you wouldn't have learned how to do that if you didn't mess it up.
It's either accomplishments or learning, right? It's not failures or accomplishments. It's accomplishments or learning.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And I even, I've always said this, and I get criticism for this a lot from people that haven't maybe learned the hard lessons that I've had to learn. But it's like, I tell people, when you hit the mark the first time, call yourself lucky. You're educated, you're experienced, right? You've put effort in. I'm not discounting any of that. I'm just telling you, if you hit the nail on the head the first time with no issues, you didn't learn anything. And you got lucky. There's a certain amount of that. And there's nothing wrong with getting lucky once in a while, right? That's a great feeling.
Oh gosh, yes.
But I'm telling you right now, if you get it right the first time, you can enjoy the moment. Don't be proud of it, but enjoy it. Because you got lucky, right? I mean, and you didn't learn anything. It's those hard lessons that teach you what's going on. And so again, the hardest day in business is when you realize the problems never quit coming. And the best day in business is when you realize it doesn't matter because you've gotten through all the ones in the past. You're going to get through all the ones in the future.
Yeah. Amen.
And that's your best and worst day, right? And so, and again, to John's testament, or a testament to John, you took a huge risk 8 years ago starting the calibration company. And that in itself was a hurdle. I was terrified for you when you did that. I'm not going to lie. I thought, man, because you're small, right? Especially 8 years ago, small. That could have been a make it or break it decision. It very well could have been. And so I'm so glad to see you made it. And now looking back on it, awesome. I mean, so glad that you're there because the hurdles that are coming with technology, you're already cutting those off at the knees. Where, like I said, I'm like, get off my lawn, right? I'm ready to retire over it, and you're just like, bring it on. And
you're attacking them, and Jerry's just there you go.
Yep. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, but there's a time for everything too.
Amen. Yeah,
Timing
I'm at that point in my
huge.
life. I'm ready to sidestep a little bit, instead of beating it head on.
How many businesses you got now, and you call that sidestepping?
Yeah. Where's cooling off coming at, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, but every one of those, not only the businesses, a lot of them they're completely different, and
a lot of them.
But each one has the business theory has evolved. I mean, Broadway Car Care is a great business. I love it, and that's still where I spend my time. I really enjoy it. But if you bring me your car, and then next month you move to Lake City, right? Lake City's not that far away. You probably would fix glass in Lake City, right? Okay, but you wouldn't bring me your car for an oil change from Lake City.
No.
I mean, and not that you don't like me anymore. But it's a geographical thing. So then we go to the gun shop. Well, the gun shop, okay, people still come to me. But if I create that destination spot, people will come to me from Lake City to buy a gun. I mean, you can't count on that, But with firearms, I can sell them online.
Yeah.
And I can sell to almost anyone in the country, at least the lower 48 states. I can sell to virtually anybody that's legal to sell to, that can legally buy a firearm.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, but that, you know what I'm saying. Now, all of a sudden, that expands tremendously. But the red tape. I mean, there's a lot of legislation that goes on, and every day I've got to listen to a politician threaten my way of life and tell me they're going to take it all away. That's stressful, And again, a lot of red tape. I've got to document everything. It's not like selling, So then I'm thinking Design HQ. All of a sudden, we're selling T-shirts, we're selling hoodies. We come up with a cool logo. People like it. People are buying it. I see them at the mall. I see them at the restaurants we go to. It's like, wow, these things are really catching on. There's good margin in the shirts, So, I mean, you can give people a good price while you still get to make a buck. I mean, that's the American dream. Now, all of a sudden, I'm going, I can send shirts all over the world. I mean, the globe is your oyster at that point if you can market it, right? Now, we're not a global company, but now I've eliminated the geographical issue of Broadway Car Care. I eliminated the red tape issue of, because everybody needs shirts, right? Nobody's putting legislation on the shirt you can sell,
Not
right?
yet.
Not yet. Nobody has the thought police aren't out there yet, so
All right.
we can still put, a Hello Kitty on it or something, a middle finger. It just doesn't matter, and it all appeals to someone different. And so each one of these keeps moving on. And then we put that same mentality. Now, Happy Garage Door is a little different because that's local. It's more like your service. It's mobile. He's in a truck. He moves around. We'll add trucks. We'll add guys. But we're able to take care of the local community. But that was more about Blake and I. Blake needed something, and I had it to give, so it worked out good. And I mean, it's going to be good for me too. It wasn't like a charity thing by any stretch. It was a good business move, in my opinion. And Blake is a fantastic human being. He is. He's one of my favorite people.
I might be missing something.
You didn't know. See, we adding things in there. You didn't even know it was there.
Table
garage doors.
Table it.
Table it for the next time. And then we have SBR, where we're here now. Small Business Referral Group. It helps people.
But each business has their own set of challenges that you've
Absolutely.
had to categorize, deal with, and conquer, and put away as lessons.
Yep.
Each one, because they all are unique to those businesses.
Yep. And we're gonna
but similar in similar
ways. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about business. Still, you have to have a good product, you have to have a fair price, and you got to take care of your customer and make them feel important.
Absolutely.
Because they are. I mean, I always said the goal is to make sure that when someone's on the phone, give them your attention. Don't start talking fast and rush them to get off the phone to go do something else. That guy on the phone has no idea there's a customer standing in front of you.
He just thinks that you're trying to. Yeah.
He just thinks you're trying to get off the phone. Now, the guy in front of you should be a little more patient because he can see you're on the phone with someone else. So you've got to prioritize that a little bit. Not that your customer in front of you is not important also, but he will hear what you're saying, and he sees you're busy with another client. So give the client on the phone your full attention. Make sure you make a finger. I'll be with you in a second.
The right finger. The right finger.
The correct finger. Yep, the correct finger. But and then you finish with the person on the phone. Now you give them your full attention. If you give this guy on the phone your full attention, and then once you hang up, you transition that to the one in front of you, everybody's happy. Mm-hmm. And it all boils down to it's all about the people.
Yes.
So
100. Yeah. 100%.
Yep. And the one thing I've figured out, over the years is it just doesn't matter what problem comes up tomorrow. We're going to get through it. Right? Everyone worries. How many times you hear 8 years ago in the election, if Trump wins, I'm moving out of the country. Oh, if Biden wins, I'm moving out of the country. Oh, if Kamala wins, I'm moving out of the country.
We're all still here.
and we've had some pretty good presidents. Yeah. We've had some terrible presidents. We've had a bunch of them that are just in between. We're all still here, right?
In the trenches.
We all survived.
In the trenches.
Yeah. We all survived. Yeah. Am I unhappy when this guy gets elected versus that guy? Sure. But
it's not going to change my grind.
Right? Yeah. I don't like when I go for lunch and someone spilled the dressings in the wrong one. That makes me. I don't care for that either. But you know what? I'll muddle through.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
It's
all about your reaction.
Right.
Absolutely.
So figure out but wrap your head around the problems. Don't quit coming. But also wrap your head around the fact that you're going to get through it.
Amen.
Be smart.
Well, and I think, like you said, being kind and that to the customers, man, when I see somebody happy, that makes me happy.
It does.
So
gosh.
just I
It's
don't know.
contagious.
Yes,
It's a drug.
absolutely.
Honestly, it
contagious.
is. It's a
Yep.
drug.
And it's not that hard. A smile and just little kindness.
Pick your heart, right?
And I feel
Pick
like
your
the
heart.
interactions that you think didn't mean the most meant so much to someone. And then when they bring that up, like a phone conversation or someone came in or they texted me or called me when they were on the road stranded and they tell me 6 months later and I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, meant the whole world to me. And I sent my whole family because you took care of me.
Yep.
You know, it's every interaction is important.
And that's why
Yep.
always be real all the time, because you don't know what you're going to do.
Character.
Yep.
Character.
I'll tell you what, and I don't know if she'd ever listened to this podcast. I hope so, but I had a customer today. The health issues here the last couple weeks. I've been in that kind of poor me phase, right? Which is just I don't feel like
That's not you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel like that's me, but I felt that way for better than a week,
Yep.
right? Kind of mad at the world and poor me, like I'm the only guy that's dealing with this. Millions of people are dealing with the same thing I'm dealing with, right? And so, but I've got that mentality in my head, and I'm trying to get past it. And Mrs. Winters comes in today, picks up her car, and when she walks, she's halfway out the door, or halfway across the front to the door. She stops and turns around. She says, and I don't know how old she is. I'm going to guess 70s. You know,
don't go down that money path.
Yeah,
No,
right.
Don't
right.
guess. Don't guess.
She's
She is 30 years old.
She is 39 years old. That's right. But she turns around and she says, "You know, I just enjoy coming in here because you're always so joyful."
And that's what I was going to say.
And I thought to myself, going, I am in such a shitty mood right now. But not to do with her, not to do with anything like that. But, when she said that, it just, I had to stop. I had to just kind of look at her for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
And it just, it felt so great.
Yeah.
But 2 minutes before she walked the door, I'm just like, son of a- and I'm just mad at the world.
And there's a lot of people depending on you. That's the thing you got to remember. There's a lot of people, more people than you know, are depending on you and look to you. And that's saved because I'll want to get angry too. But it's like, if I keep a level head and realize that it's all about how you react, you're going to, those people that are looking up to you, that they're going to remember that, and they need that, because other people can't pull themselves out of it, but you can.
No pressure.
And that takes time.
All the
to
pressure.
learn that,
All the pressure. Pressure builds diamonds, baby.
No pressure.
Pressure builds diamonds.
We had no, sorry.
No. All right, well then,
Next episode.
Let's say.
Write it down.
Say, John, I don't know what you said you'd never done a podcast before,
No.
right? Okay.
This is great.
What did you think?
I thought it was easy. I wasn't worried at all, honestly.
No, you seem pretty
You're a
calm
natural.
coming in, and yeah.
One, because I knew that you can pretty much lead it and help me out, and I had a few things written down. I don't think I looked at one of them,
Yeah.
but it was very enjoyable, and I feel like we just scratched the surface on some stuff.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, will you come back and do another one?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Am I invited?
We'll vote. You guys just comment below.
To be determined. TBD.
Awesome. Well, John, again, thanks for coming in and making the trip
Yes,
down
thank you
here.
so much.
Jordan, thank you for coming in.
Thank you
and
for the
co-hosting.
invite as always.
Yes, thank you guys
Absolutely.
very much.
Cool. Well, J Rocks Auto Glass,
507-319-1050.
All right, look him up. Everybody, have a great night.
Thank you.